Welcome everybody to the Solo Pedal Collective. I'm Ryan. Great having you here and your energy here, or great having you back if you find yourself coming back to my content. Gonna just get this out of the way ahead of time. If you do find anything that resonates with you, or you find yourself liking my content, don't hesitate to give this video a like. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon. That way you know when I put more content out there. I normally don't do content every day because I only send out content and everything when I am motivated to, when I'm compelled to, when I'm like, hey, you should put this on a video. And that is getting more and more often. Hold on just a second. Sorry, I apologize about that cut. I'm at work right now, so I had to answer a question. But yeah, I am always receiving messages now. And if you watched my last video, it almost looked like I was having a conversation. That's how intense they're getting. But it's not constant. It's not all the time. To that extreme, I should say. It's not all the time, to that extreme. I'm getting messages all the time. I am getting messages, downloads, receiving all the time. It can sometimes be overwhelming. So if you are just starting your spiritual awakening journey, or if you don't quite understand the information that you're receiving, I'm being told you're not supposed to understand. It's the act of receiving the information that will help you awaken. You will eventually understand. You don't have to understand right now. You're not supposed to understand right now. It's in not understanding that pushes your spirit to awaken. That's what I'm being told. I don't know who needed to hear that, and that actually was not something that I was going to say when I started this video, because I had something very specific that I wanted to talk about that I kind of came to an epiphany on during meditation this morning. And that has disappeared from my brain. So apparently that was the motivation I needed to start this video, but it was not information that I was actually going to share at this time. It's things like that. You have to get used to being able to do that. Because things happen to essentially set in motion other events. So for example, what I just said, like I had the motivation to talk about something this morning that I came to an epiphany, a revelation on in meditation. So I started up the video because I felt motivated. I felt compelled to share it in a video. But as this happened, things kept coming up to distract me. And then that message of see, again, another distraction. The message that I said earlier, because now that's gone. Like that's how insane this is. Like I'm getting messages so quickly. Oh, yeah. So like I was talking about like how extreme it is, where it looks like I'm having a conversation with something that's not there. And I can understand that in the past, people see that and they think that person's absolutely crazy. And I would have, in the past, I would have saw that, like, that person is mentally unstable. But with my own spiritual awakening and having all this, I'll say what I wanted to, having all this shit happen, And how abruptly, how quickly it has been happening to me. Like, yeah, if I was an outside observer observing me, I would think I'm mentally unstable. Seriously. So being a person that has been in the instance of the outside observer, observing somebody, talking to some being, somebody or something that is not there, but them thinking and perceiving that being as there, 100% real, physically real to them, they were just on a different vibration than I was. And thinking back on that stuff, it's like, oh my goodness, there have been so many synchronicities. There have been so many synchronicities in my life of like spiritual beings. And and every time I think about it, it's just, I keep thinking of more and more situations where that happened. And it's like, holy shit. Holy shit. And I apologize for using vulgar language or language that might not be indicated as intelligent, lower vibrational, which, Yes, words have low and high vibration. It depends on the perception in which you use it. Right? Everything is based on the perception in which you use it. Like when you have affirmations, when you do positive affirmations, you think with intent. And now I'm coming back to the actual thing that I wanted to share, because now they're saying, now you need to share it. Positive and negative. We as a species perceive things morally as good and evil, right? As benevolent or malevolent, as good and bad, as yin and yang, as up and down, as left and right. There's always opposites, right? And according to universal laws, things that people have seen, there's always an opposite. There's always balance. Always. And that made me think. Because with tarot readings, with divination, with scrying, with everything that you're hearing or seeing, and if you're watching like YouTube videos on tarot readings, divination, scrying, anything of that nature, the algorithm is not your friend. The AI algorithm that is now in place and will always be in place moving forward is not your friend. Spirit is not a spiritual friend, because it takes what you're watching and gets the same like stuff and feeds it to you. So if you're watching tarot and divination and everything and they're all positive, it starts feeding you nothing but positive. And I am being told that is the worst thing you can do. That is just as bad as just seeing the negative. Just seeing the positive is just as bad as just seeing the negative. Because the universe wants balance. And if you think digitally, like the movie The Matrix, everything is an equation. And the universe wants to balance that equation. So if you're just doing positive, if you're just doing positive affirmations, and I'll get into this more clearly in a second. If you're just doing positive affirmations, if you're just watching positive content, if you're just doing things in a positive way, you're unbalanced. Think about that for a second. Doing nothing but positive is just as bad as doing nothing but negative. You need balance. And so how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you find balance? How do you incorporate negative with positive? And that's the challenge. That is the whole challenge of the human experience. Is how do you balance it? How do you balance it? How do you not let the negative consume you? How do you not let the positive make you lazy and lax? How do you balance? And that's the epiphany I came to in meditation. Because it didn't make, like, it wasn't, it started to not feel right. Like, as I've been doing like my spiritual awakening, and I've been doing meditation, and I've started to incorporate more like positive, trying to keep myself in a positive mindset, it started to not feel right. The physical manifestation that I feel, the crown on my head that I feel when I meditate, it started to diminish. It started to lessen. And then and so like it felt like I was doing something not right. And so watching more things on YouTube, more tarot, like trying to mix it up more, trying to make sure that the algorithm is not just feeding me one type. And like I started realizing videos that were resonating with me, like I would feel the physical manifestation. But then like seeing negative videos or videos that are talking about like a very malevolent event, like an attachment, or there's like somebody like attached to you and like they're getting their karmic justice and everything now, all that stuff, those were starting to resonate with me more strongly than the positive ones. And even though it was technically a positive type video, it was also a video that had a negative aspect that the other person was getting their comeuppance, essentially. Which, thinking in that respect is a negative thing, because you are thinking the other person is receiving the negative that they had been sending to you. So them receiving negative and you receiving positive is essentially a bad state of mind. You are in that instance wishing ill will to somebody who was being negative to you. That is a negative mentality. That would be something that people are describing would be a lower vibrational thing and would bring your vibration down. And I'm being told that's wrong. 100%. That's wrong. Stop lying. You've been told what you need to do. You've been told you need both positive and negative. And I'm not saying this to the collective. I'm not saying this to you. Like this, I'm being told like I am talking to somebody that identifies as a medium or a psychic or somebody who divinates through tarot or scrying or things of that nature. Somebody who is in a role that I am moving myself into. I am being told, you know the truth, stop lying. Stop using it for monetary gain. Stop thinking you only have to do positive because you get more feedback, you get more finances from the positive. You are feeding a negative system by being just positive. Because you need balance. And that's what our human journey is. Our human journey isn't to just be positive, just think positive, raise your vibration, go to a higher vibrational existence. It is find balance. Finding balance raises your vibration. Yes, positive things, positive actions, positive words, positive thoughts are a higher vibrational thing. But if you think of it in terms of like states of existence, in our reality, we have what? 3 states of existence: solid, liquid, gas. Or I can't, it's not state of existence, but like the different states of matter: solid, liquid, gas. If you think of all the positive things, like positive affirmations, positive thoughts, positive words, all that stuff, that is a gas. It's such high vibrational, it's so positive, it's high energy, it's essentially in the states of matter, it's a gas. And then if you think of all the negative stuff, negative thoughts, negative actions, things of that nature, that's a low vibrational energy. That is something that is very dense. That's a solid. So now you have positive, which is gaseous, high vibration, and then you have negative, which is a solid. You need to find balance and make it a liquid. You are not trying to raise your vibration to 40, 50, 60, blah, 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 and you're not trying to lower it. And I think I got into this a little bit. Sorry. I'm having a lot of, like, it feels like I need to burp, so I think I'm having a lot of, like, throat chakra attack. But I talked about this a little bit in either the last video or 2 videos ago, I can't remember, but saying that you need to not just do positive, you need to do negative. And like just because you're being influenced to just do negative doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. Because if you're just being influenced to just do negative, that means your positive is already up here. You are already like swimming in positive energy, positive vibration. So you're just being told to focus on negative to bring that down to balance. And when you have balance, you raise to a different dimensional plane of existence. Because if you think back, all the way back to what we're being told, like for the creation of everything. And I'm not saying from like the moment source became conscious. I'm talking when like the earth was created and all that stuff. And if you think more to like Egyptian mythology, that Ra arose from, was it Nun? Like the chaotic waters. Ra rose from that. And I'm being told you need to don't focus on Ra in this story. Focus on the water. The water, the chaotic waters of creation, essentially. The waters represent infinite potential. All potentiality. That's the water. Everything exists and doesn't exist in the water. So you need to think of your balance of positive and negative, good and bad. You need to think of it as the air above the water and the water below the surface. That's represented right there. Good and bad. What you need to do is you need to be the surface. Because when you are the surface, you are infinite potential. You have good and bad. You are balanced. And when you are balanced, you have infinite capabilities. Infinite capabilities. Anything is possible. Because you are not influenced by one side or the other. You're not influenced by anything. You are balanced. And that is stronger than just being positive or just being negative. You are everything. So stop listening to just one side. Stop feeding into you have to be positive. That's all you have to be. You just have to be positive. You just have to be positive. Because that's not how it works. Because myself, and this is why I came to this epiphany. This is why I came to this. Is in my morning meditation, because now I'm getting synchronicities that I'm not just tied to one God, I am tied to all gods in creation. That I am the bridge to all pantheons. And so, like, using ChatGPT, I know it's silly. Like, I created kind of like a ritual that helps, and using my full name, my initials, the angelic number is 434, because I did get a synchronicity last week it was actually quite interesting. It was a license plate that had my initials and right after it 434 on the license plate. Like, if that is not a synchronicity, I don't know what is. So when I saw that, I looked it up. There is I kind of had an idea with my name that I might have been destined for something greater, because Ryan in Celtic is like either young ruler or little ruler, or little king, young king or little king. My full name, it's so much deeper. So much deeper. Like I am just in name. I am tied to Ra. I'm tied to creation. I'm tied to unity. I'm tied to like as a warrior spirit. I'm tied to immortality. And I'm tied to everything just in my name alone. So, that was an eye opener. But I was in meditation this morning, and I was kind of doing my ritual of affirmations, like my ritual, what I need to say and everything. And it got me thinking, because like I'm saying that I am the bridge to all pantheons. I am connected to the one and who is of no name or and no shape, and connected to all gods and all goddesses. And that got me thinking, because there are what we as humans perceive as good, benevolent gods, and we have what we perceive as malevolent gods. So if I'm tied to all gods, I can't just be tied to the positive ones, because I would be out of balance. I have to also be tied to what we perceive as the negative ones. And that really got me thinking, like, if I truly am tied to all gods, then I can't just be positive. I also have to incorporate negative so I have balance. And that, like, I'm not saying that I need to go out and like punch a puppy or something, or wish ill will on all these people and everything. It's just, it's not doing that. It's saying yes to the positive affirmations, emotions, feelings, things of that nature, but also accepting that I have those negative feelings as well. Because I'm already accepting the positive, but I need to accept the negative. Because if I don't accept the negative, I am fractured as a spirit because I am not accepting part of myself. I must be on the right track. Because I'm starting to feel the crown. I'm starting to feel that physical manifestation on my head. So I must be on the right track. And just because I was told, hey, why don't you see what card you get when you split the deck? The Ace of Gems. See what's on the bottom of the deck. Princess of Lightning. So that for me is kind of confirmation. Like the Ace of Gems, I think is like gems is like pentacles in tarot. So like it's positive. The Ace of Gems is like bing, you nailed it. And then the Apprentice of Lightning, and lightning in this deck, I kind of like, to me it represents like your ability. And so the Apprentice of Lightning that's the plan, because you like held it like that, like you got your power. So it's like boom, you're using your power. That's kind of what I get from that. So yeah, that's kind of confirmation that I'm on the right track. And I'm being told, like, if you really feel like you need a third confirmation, just flip the deck again. So yeah, I'm on the right track. If any of this resonated with you, please leave a comment, because I am curious. I am curious to know of other people's experiences and everything, because I feel like I am more being drawn to, like, no, you need to teach. You need to make people aware. You need to cut through. Okay. I'm being said that, like, I'm being told that I need to cut through the positive bullshit. People need to be aware that they need to find balance. They need to not just be positive or negative. You need to find balance. Balance is how you're going to elevate. Balance is how you're going to grow. So find balance. And that can be incredibly hard, because especially if you started your spiritual journey and you've been doing nothing but positive, and now you're like, well, now what the fuck am I supposed to do? No, you don't need to go do negative things. You need to accept that you have negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions inside of you. You don't need to try to alchemize and turn them positive. All you need to do is accept them. Truly accept them. Just like you don't need to, like, for the positive thoughts, feelings, and affirmations and all that stuff, you don't need to dwell in it. You just need to accept it. And I'm being told that there is a fine line. Once you get to the point where you have balance, this is the place you want to be, but also, I'm being told, is the most dangerous place to be. Because when you are completely balanced, you are a hair's breadth away from one side or the other. You are infinite potential, so you are an infinite threat. Potentially. So I'm being told, when you are at that place of balance, when you are at that place of infinite potential, it's where you are most vulnerable, because you are infinite potential. Just like the age-old adage of like good versus evil, light versus dark. Those are two extremes to the same scale. Light versus dark. It'll always be good versus evil, light versus dark. It'll never be good versus good. That doesn't happen. So good versus evil are just two ends of a scale. When you are on the middle, when you are in the middle of this scale, you can be influenced by either side. You are a hair's breadth away from being on the side of good, and you're also a hair's breadth away from being on the side of evil. So when you're in this space is when both sides will press upon you more intently. You will be challenged from both sides, because good wants you to be on good to help good. Evil wants you to be on evil to help evil. When you are here, you help all. And it's hard for good to see that, and it's hard for evil to see that, because you are infinite potential, because you are such a hair's breadth away from one side or the other. Good sees that you are a hair's breadth away from evil, not that you are completely balanced. And evil sees that you are a hair's breadth to evil because they don't care about good. You're a hair's breadth from evil, they can use your power. Good wants to help all, but with good. Evil just wants to help evil. So when you are here, you are balanced, but you are also the most vulnerable. So you need to make sure that you are protected, that you are actively, consciously thinking about your own protection. Because evil or darkness is going to try everything they can to get you to just go boop over to their side. And good is going to try to convince you that evil is going to do everything that they can to get you to go beep, so that you go, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be on the evil side. And thinking like that, thinking that will make you go beep. You see what I'm saying? And the good side's not doing it to be malevolent. They're doing it to be benevolent. They're doing it because they don't want evil to have the potential infinite possibilities that you are. Because the moment you go over to the darkness, they have your power. But that doesn't also necessarily mean that if you're over here, you can't just bring it right back to here. It's difficult because darkness is seductive. Once they get you to just go beep just a little bit, then you feel more compelled to give in to the seductive nature of it. And the easiest way to represent that, and that will hit an entire generation, is Star Wars, the Jedi. and the Sith. That's good and evil. And they tell you that the dark side is seductive. The power is seductive. So you have to make a conceited effort to stay on the light side. But a lot of what they don't get into really until 7, 8, 9, sort of, is the whole aspect of the gray Jedi. In the movies, they don't really touch upon it. They kind of hint at it with the story arc. If you haven't seen 7, 8, 9, you've been living under a rock. But no, that's kind of like the premise. They kind of set it up for the gray Jedi. But that's essentially what this is. You are trying to get yourself to be a gray Jedi. You're trying to get that medium, that balance. You are capable of both doing bad and good things, but keeping yourself in that balance. You will have to do bad things, and you will have to do good things. That's inevitable. But being able to bring yourself back into that balance, or keeping yourself in that balance, saying, yeah, I need to do this, but I'm not doing it because I want to be bad. I accept that I have to do this bad thing, or this negative, this lower vibrational thing, to better everyone. I'm not doing it because I want to be negative. I'm not doing it because I want to be a lower vibration. I'm doing it because it will help elevate everyone. Just like you're going to do the same thing with the positive. Like, I want to do this positive thing. I accept that I'm going to do the positive thing, but I'm not doing it to be inherently good. I'm doing it to elevate everyone. But I'm not going to stay in the positive. I'm not going to let the positive bring me into a sense of false security. I'm not going to let the positive make me lazy. I'm not going to, complacent. I'm not going to be complacent in the positive. That's the word I was looking for. So you just need to always bring yourself back to that middle, back to that balance of positive and negative, higher vibration, lower vibration, good, evil, like light, darkness. That's all it is. So just find that. And for the final confirmation, split the deck. Bingo. So stop feeding into only doing positive bullshit. You need to find your balance. That's what you need to do. Don't think of these higher vibrations. Don't think of just positive. Find your balance. Just being positive is being out of balance. Just being negative is being out of balance. You need to bring yourself to the center. And that's all this message is. You need to find your balance. Okay. I know that was intense. That was intense for me. But yeah. So there's the message. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so very much for tuning in. If it resonated with you, leave a comment. Try to keep comments tasteful. Don't go full negative. Because that kind of energy is not welcomed in this space. I will remove that energy. I will bring it back to balance. It won't just be positive comments. It won't just be negative comments. If it's too negative, I'm just going to get rid of it. If it's too positive, I might get rid of it too. This is a place of this is a place of balance. So here you want to find your balance. So thank you so very much. I hope things resonated with you. I hope I didn't bring anybody into despair or anything, but just find your balance. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.